Hello everyone, welcome back to Quarter Flips, or welcome if it's your first time. I'm Dave, this is my channel, and today I want to talk about Star Wars collectibles. Okay, Star Wars collectibles. If you're a reseller and you've been a reseller for any amount of time, and especially if you deal with toys, you are probably going to have dealt with Star Wars collectibles at some point. I've sold a whole bunch over the years. I had tons of Star Wars toys when I was a kid because I was around when the movies came out originally, and they were a big deal. They got trashed. All my friends' toys got trashed. We even burned a bunch of them at one point when we got a little bit older. So only so many survived, and those things are really sought after. Even pretty trashed, the original figures can go for some decent money on eBay. If you don't have all the accessories and everything, you can still lot them up if you get them cheap enough. Most people know that Star Wars stuff is worth money, but still occasionally you can run into some cool deals. The stuff I'm going to talk about today is all a little weirder and fringe maybe, but it's still stuff you might run into, and it's something to know about. So let's get into it. Okay, first up is this book that I found at Half Price Books. It's called Engineering an Empire, the creators of Kenner's Star Wars toys. This is a very cool hardcover book. It was in the clearance section at Half Price Books for $3. And I looked at it and thought, well, this is odd. It's very, very nice. This is brand new condition, but it doesn't have a barcode or any kind of like ISBN number or anything. And maybe that's why they weren't able to look it up easily, so they didn't think it was much of anything and they just put it in the clearance section. But this book is actually very, very cool. It tells the story of what it was like for the people that worked at Kenner in the early days before Star Wars came along, when they were making things like the $6 Million Man toys and things like that, and how they kind of got this project to make these toys for this movie dumped in their lap, and how they had to respond to it, and how it caught fire and took off because the way Star Wars did, what it took to basically keep up with demand and make new things. This book, each chapter is a story of a person who was involved back then, that were interviewed for the book, or if in the case where they're not still around, it's people that knew them telling about what they did. There's lots of cool photos and graphs and drawings and original artwork and stuff in this book. And my favorite thing in the book, and I'll show it here, this is very nerdy and I'm just going to nerd out for a minute. My favorite thing in the book is this picture of Boba Fett being taken for the Star Wars toy card. What you have to understand about this photo is someone had an Instamatic camera at their desk and they saw photos being taken of Boba Fett. So they took a picture of pictures being taken of Boba Fett, and they managed to capture the moment of the image that they actually used on the card. Now this may not seem like that big of a deal, but because today we have cameras, we could take video or pictures of anything at any time. It's really easy. Back then it was film. You had to choose what to take the picture of and get it developed. So I just thought something like this was very cool. Kind of makes me want to keep the book, but this book sells for decent money. There are none available currently as I'm filming this video on eBay, but there are recent sales, all between like $60 and $70. So I'm probably going to list this thing if I don't decide to put it on the shelf. One of the other cool things about this book, if you're a nerd and into Star Wars stuff, and this video is going to be pretty good for people who are nerds and are into Star Wars stuff, there's a lot of images in here of prototype toys. Toys that didn't actually get developed, or early versions of toys that did get developed. So you can kind of see where these things come from. Or you can see things that you maybe could have had, or things that they didn't get to. They didn't make until later on in the toy line. There's some of that. But there's also cool stuff like, I don't know if you're even going to be able to see this, but like diagram of one of the Rebel figures, but then photos of the people who they're writing about in this book, posing for them to make the figure designs off of. So I don't know. This is a book you could just nerd out on all day. I did it the other night and I really enjoyed it. I also tried to look this up on Amazon. None available on Amazon, no listing for it at all. So I don't think this has ever hit Amazon before. So I started making this video about Star Wars stuff earlier this year in the summer, around the time when I was up in Bellingham doing some garage setting with my family. The reason why I was going to make the video then is because I had come across something I needed to rehome, a Star Wars collectible that needed to find a place to live. And I'll explain that. So I was out at Repurpose Center in Woodinville. They used to be Pickers Warehouse. I've talked about them many times on this channel. It's a fantastic place that if you're a reseller or a person that likes thrift sales and garage sales and estate sales, or just sifting through and finding good deals, you're going to want to go to that place. They're only open on Saturdays. All year long though, every Saturday, and that's the place to be. You never know what you're going to find out there. I have found some amazing things. And while I was out there one day, Brandon, the guy who runs the place, said, hey, I've got this Star Wars statue, this speeder bike trooper, and it's sitting on the shelf and it's getting damaged. No one's picking it up, and I'm just thinking that if it stays here, it's going to get more damage and it's not going to be worth it at all. Would you be able to find a home for it? Maybe put it in a video. And I thought, you know what? I probably could find a home for it. Let me see what I can do. So I took it home with me, and I did indeed find a home. Ian, who went shopping with us in that video with my parents, he has a big Star Wars collectibles collection, and he collects the 1/6 size figures that are almost statues in their own right. So I asked if he'd maybe like to check out this statue, maybe bring it in his collection. I would let him have this statue if I could see his collection and he could tell me about it. So that's what I did, and here's what that looked like. I think this is the place.
Hello?
Hello.
Come on in.
Ian.
How you doing?
Good. What have you got going on in here?
I have a Star Wars collection.
All right, we're going to need to talk about the Star Wars collection. Flynn.
Hi.
What's up? Who is this?
Binks.
Binks.
Like Jar Jar Binks.
Hello, Binks. Oh, of course, like Jar Jar Binks. Okay, I'm gonna try to get a sense of this whole room, but I don't know if it's really gonna be possible. You have quite the collection here, Ian. When did you start collecting Star Wars stuff?
Probably when I was 6 or 7 years old. Watched the movies and immediately started collecting toys and Legos and action figures, and never really stopped.
And at that time, you were opening them and playing with them, I assume.
Yes, and now I don't open as many.
At some point, you began to do this with your action figures. Keep them for display.
Yes, and mint condition.
And you told me that you have boxes of these kind?
I do, of the 3 3/4 inch figures. I just haven't found a place to display them yet, so eventually I'll make a shelf.
So you'll be able to have a whole thing. You've got a Darksaber lamp here.
I do.
And some pops. All right, but the real, and of course, there's a few other things you got, like some Transformers, which I think is totally acceptable. Yeah. Picture of Flynn, she wanted to point out.
Yeah.
And more pops, some Lego.
I do. Look
at that Lego Cantina. Oh my. Okay, you haven't taken that out and built it. That's still new in the box.
It is, correct. And so is the TIE Bomber.
We do plan on building it when we have more space, though.
Yeah.
Yeah? But you have built some stuff, as I see down here.
I have, yes.
Look at this. Okay. Let me get some quick shots of this stuff. Now, look at all these. And then up here, some black figures, huh?
Some Black Series, yeah.
Black Series. You're big on the clone troopers.
I am. Troopers are my main deal.
And, look at this guy. Now, troopers are your main deal. Why troopers?
I don't know. I went out, ever since I was little, the clone troopers just resonated with me for some reason. So I just like the army build.
So these are obviously different. These aren't like the packaged figures. These aren't like the Black Series. These are something entirely different. These are action figures, though.
Yes.
You clarified that for me.
They are completely posable. Swap out hands for different accessories, and sometimes you got swap out heads and helmets and different battle damaged armor pieces, but
incredible detail on these. So, like, what are these called?
These are 6 scale figures created by a company in Hong Kong called Hot Toys.
Hot Toys. Not Sideshow Collectibles.
No, Sideshow is the US distributor for this company.
Okay, so up here we got the Mandalorian and not IG-88.
No, that is IG-11 from season 1 of The Mandalorian.
IG-11. Okay. And then we've got some
This is my Attack of the Clones shelf.
Nice. Yeah, it's really... This is just really nice detail on this stuff. And like you said, different hands, different weapons can go on. And then more troopers.
Yep, so those are the Clone Wars.
So, okay, so how does a person buy these? Like, where do you find them?
Off Sideshow's website.
Okay, so Sideshow Collectibles distributes Hot Toys?
Yes.
All right.
And most of the time, you have to pre-order a year to a year in advance, year and a half in advance, in order to get them. Recently, they've been a little easier with overstock. Everyone had stimulus checks, and so the company overproduced lots of things. So they're a bit easier to get into now, but they're switching back to a bit more limited runs.
Okay, so something like this fella. What's he, Moff Gideon?
Moff Gideon.
Okay, Moff Gideon, man, I am so impressed by that figure. So that, they would say, we're only going to make how many of those?
They don't release production numbers.
Oh, they don't?
Unless it is a specific limited edition figure.
Do you have any of those?
I have a few still sealed in the box.
Oh, you haven't even opened
But
it.
I haven't opened it yet.
So you have some that aren't even out here yet?
Yes.
Okay, but what do they just say? We're just going to make this figure once, and when it's gone, and you don't really know how many?
Yes. Generally, you don't know how many, unless they say, hey, we're making 3,000 of these.
Okay. So we don't know how many of this is Boba Fett on his throne. There actually are. Look at that detail. Okay. Oh, and you've got a few more over here too. You said this case doesn't light up yet.
Not yet. I'm working on it. Most of this in here is a work in progress.
All right. We got old Han Solo. Got Luke, and then this guy doesn't fit.
No, that is my one Marvel hot toy. I do have a couple more on the way to go with Steve, but currently he's the only one.
Poor Steve. Okay. So this seemed, because I had something that needed a home, and I was looking for a home for it, and this seemed like a place where it might fit. Now, it doesn't fit exactly, but who knows? Maybe this will open up a new chapter.
It will open up a new chapter of statues. So the first statue is a big deal in collecting, so I'm excited.
Oh, this one I'm giving you is technically not an action figure, it's a statue.
Yes, it's limited run statue from Sideshow. And it will be a different scale than these.
Oh, totally. We're going to get a good look at it here in a minute.
But as a statue, it will be a unique piece in and of itself.
All right. I'm going to go grab it and bring it in and see what you think.
All right.
That is noise. It's okay. It's okay.
I can throw her out.
It's totally okay. Actually, let's do this. What? You got some chewies, some treats?
A few.
You're going to make some noise in our video. And you're just too cute for me to care about it at all. Yeah. Talking about you. All right, people, you're just going to have to put up with that. Oh, look what we have done. Okay. So this is it doesn't have one for reference. So let's throw one here for reference. These are
6th scale.
6th scale. This is quarter scale.
Correct.
And he's on his Return of the Jedi speeder bike. I assume this is Return of the Jedi.
Yes.
And is that Return of the Jedi?
It is.
Okay. And so one of the reasons why this needed to find a new home, why Brandon sent this out to be rehomed, was because it was getting damaged on the shelf at Repurpose Warehouse. This broke, so you'll have to fix that. And a couple other things are just not right, and it has a broken off and missing flap here in the back. But it still is pretty darn cool. And if you wanted to, I want to see if I can get another angle on it here. That's giant. It's taking up your whole desk, man. You're gonna have to completely rethink this.
I'm not mad about that at all. This is amazing.
Do you think that you will expand your collection
I'm
to
gonna
start getting some of these 1/4 size.
I'm gonna have to now. You need some friends.
This is an excuse for him.
Oh, 100%.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. So that was Sideshow from I don't know how many years ago. I think the date's on the bottom. I took a video of it earlier, so I can put it up here. But since this comes from the same place where you get these, I figure you'll have opportunities to get him some friends.
I will indeed, yes.
All right. I think that your collection is going to grow beyond this small room, my friend.
It already kind of has. I don't have everything out. I've had to prioritize. So
Yeah.
now it's just consolidating and rearranging so that everything fits in here properly.
So when you get the master display room, I'm going to need to come back and make another video.
All right, I look forward
And
to it.
maybe find a way to bring you something else for it.
That would be awesome.
Thank you for showing us all this stuff.
Yes, thank you for coming.
All right. Appreciate it.
So if you've ever had a collection like that, if you've ever been someone who collected things that had the potential of becoming valuable, with me and with a lot of people I know, we did it with records when we were younger. I collected records for decades. In my 40s, I ended up selling maybe 90% of my record collection for a lot more money than I bought it for. The idea of buying something cool that you like and then having it increase in value over the years so that later, if you want to, you can move on, you can move that stuff out and get into something else or put it towards a house or a car or something. It's really great. It makes it a lot of fun. And I really think that that collection that Ian just showed us kind of falls into that category. I'm not 100% sure what he paid for all that stuff up front. We didn't get into the nitty-gritty details of that, but I did check eBay and I did check Amazon, and you could find a lot of those things that he's got up for some pretty decent prices, both listed and sold. On Amazon, you can't check sold, or at least I don't know how, but you can see that people have got some of those things up at with some pretty decent asking prices. So I'm going to put some links to some of that stuff down in the description so you can go check it out if you want. And I think that's it for today. Thank you very much for watching. Please like and subscribe and check out Repurpose Center in Woodinville. And yeah, I'll see you next time.